Hello and welcome to the first edition of the North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball Show featuring head coach Terrell Robinson. I'm Brian Holloway, your host tonight, and we're excited about being with you tonight because North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball is coming off a big-time win, 88-50 over Charleston Southern on Wednesday night. And Coach, how good was it just to get that first ever Big South win for your team?
It felt good, man. It felt good to get our first win in the new year. I obviously we've dealt with a lot of adversity, and it's just good to feel like we're moving in the right direction. I thought that was not just a win; it was a big win. The way we won, we look like Lady Aggie basketball. So hopefully we can build on that and keep moving forward.
Well, this is our first show, so we're going to kind of start with the recent and kind of go back a little bit. It's been a very interesting season, to say the least, for your Lady Aggies. But last night, you mentioned how you guys looked like Lady Aggie basketball. That second half, that defensive intensity, really looked familiar. What do you think kind of really triggered that for you guys coming out of the locker room?
Well, it was one of the things that I had mentioned to them even in practice about us, just really understanding who we are and getting our feet up under us in terms of being a defensive team, holding on to our principles and following the scout, all those things. I thought, I went back to our USC Upstate game where we held them to 25 points in the first half and gave up 27 points in the fourth quarter. And I told them, we're doing a good job of scoring. Even after the Longwood game, we had 45 points, but then we had 71 against Hampton and obviously 64 against USC. Like, that's Upstate. That's good enough to beat anybody, but we got to get back to our identity. We're giving it too many points. And if we can get down to holding people to that 50, 55 point average, we'll be okay.
And another thing that you saw last night is how well the ladies shared the basketball. 25 assists versus 11 turnovers. You only had 2 turnovers in the second half. And it's just like everybody was just into that, contributing a little bit. How much does the excellence on the defensive end help translate to excellence on the offensive end?
It gives you an opportunity to get out and run, forcing turnovers, getting stops, getting the ball in right people's hands. The right people getting out in transition, it all starts with defense. And then as that flows, we start to get confidence in our half court offense. Like yesterday was perfect in terms of what we want to do moving forward. And again, it's just about building that consistency. And I'm glad that our young women responded. I challenged them. And I think we did a good job, and we just got to keep getting better at following scout, keep getting better at understanding our defensive principles and making people uncomfortable.
Now, your lineup consisted of your leading scorer coming off the bench. She had a pretty good night, 15 points, 5 assists, no turnovers. What do you like about having Channing Scott come off the bench and work with that second unit a little bit?
Well, Chan is a phenomenal talent. She's a big-time player. Whether she's starting or coming off the bench, she's going to impact. So it's not a thing of where she's put. She's going to play well in any situation. She understands why she came back. She understands what she's trying to leave with, as we, go towards the end of the season and hit conference play. With the group that we had out, is just a group that I felt played well in our previous game that we lost, and wanted to, obviously get the right chemistry, and including Sean Kelly Darks, not even just Chan. Sean Kelly came off and gave us great energy, off the bench, and gave us, that type of punch that you want, that gives you that extra boost. If you even look at the defensive, we held them to 6 points, I think, in the third quarter. Shannon and SK were out there on the floor.
Yeah, and SK and Channing and Faith Blackstone, they all hit some perimeter shots for you as well. I know maybe earlier in the season we struggled a little bit from the perimeter. How good was it to see, some excellent perimeter shooting last night as well?
It was great because, that had been our Achilles heel the entire season, and we knew that, and we really challenged our young women to get in the gym. And again, it goes back to what we talked about earlier as far as defense, getting easy layups. Scoring, seeing that ball go through the net for any scorer, any shooter, gives you confidence to take the next shot. And a lot of their shots was wide open threes. Jasmine Harris, people have to game plan for her. So when she gets the ball, she has 2 to 3 people guarding her, and all she has to do is find the wide open person. And Shannon, SK, Faith, the shots they took were wide open, and there's shots that they can make.
How does Jasmine compare? I mean, we've had some great bigs here. The Ebony Rosses, the April McCrays. The list just goes on and on.
Yep.
Skip,
Shug
yeah,
Sears.
Sears, yeah, Shug.
Mhm.
How does she compare to some of the other great bigs that we've had here in the past? Lamona Smalley. The list goes on and on. We can go on for days. But how does she compare it to, some of those greats that we've had here?
Man, you brought up Lamona. There ain't that many Lamona Smalleys to be. But she's a force to be reckoned with on the offensive end. She can step away from the basket. She has a variety of offensive moves that she can go to. She's probably the most talented offensively that we've had. Like, she doesn't have a conscience. There's not any place on the court that she doesn't think she's gonna take that shot and make it. And that's where it stops in terms of her comparison. Offensively, she's one of the most dynamic that we've had. April could really score. April had a knack, but Jazz is just a little bit different. She can stretch out. She can face up. She gives me confidence to run isolation stuff for her and feel good about it. And Ebony was more defensive. Lamona was all world. She could do it all. There's not a Lamona Smalley, but yeah, Jazz is up there in terms of what she can do offensively, and I'm challenging her to be able to do some of the other things defensively. And again, that's where it starts with us. Challenge her to be better on that end of the floor.
Now, talk about some of the challenges that you guys have faced. I mean, last night was our first home game in probably about 3 weeks. So there certainly have been some challenges along the way. And it just seemed to me it kind of started with that Longwood game, where you miss your top three scorers, and things kind of get out of sorts a little bit. What was your mindset after Longwood in terms of, okay, how do we strategize? We know it's here, this COVID thing. How do we strategize for that going forward? Because it certainly became, I believe, a nightmare for us for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the thing about it, the nation hasn't strategized quite well with this pandemic, and so what we're trying to do is just make sure that people are safe. We got to look out for these student athletes and what's best for them. And I think we have done that. And if we had to miss some games, if we had to play some games with a short number of people, we were able to do that. We adjusted. It didn't become about winning and losing at that time. It meant just trying to sustain what we had built. The crazy thing about it, the good thing that we gained from that, Keanu Atterton, she's had double figure scoring and had some double doubles in that time. Faith Blackstone, who was on the bench, has really, taken advantage of that and given us some more confident scores, as we talked about earlier. So there was a lot to gain in it. But one thing about me, just in general, the things that I can't control, I don't worry about. I keep it about the student athletes. I keep it about their health. And then, secondary is obviously, what's best for the program. When people came back, obviously the starting lineup was different because of COVID protocols and people being out. And then you got people that were in practice, they're deserving of opportunities because, they're still there. So it's every day is changing. There's no right or wrong way, as long as you stay true to what's best for the individuals and then what's best for the program.
Talk about Hampton a little bit, because it just seemed like that was a great effort. I mean, in the fourth quarter, they looked like they kind of ran out of gas a little bit, but it just seemed to be a great effort after the Longwood game. Talk about that a little bit and just kind of how that transition into the new year happened for you guys.
Yeah, like the Longwood game, we lost a few people literally less than 24 hours before the game, and there was a lot of, you can't adjust that quick. Long was a really good team, really good coach, and they understood the assignment. You know what I'm saying? So they came in there, took care of business. But within 2 days of preparation and practice, we go down to Hampton, and it's a 2-point game at the end of the third. And and people that hadn't gotten opportunities to play, including walk-ons, had a chance to put us in a position to win. And the joke that I made, at the end of the game, like there's a reason why y'all didn't play before. What I'm saying? There's still stuff you got to figure out, still stuff that you got to learn. But again, Faith Blackstone showed me something. She showed me that she can really score. She showed me that she's an impact player. Keanu Atterton came in and really took an onus to try to perform at a high level. Shayla and Slick, they came in, did everything they could, and they were dealing with injuries. So I couldn't ask for anything more as far as a coach, and I told them that I was proud of them. Again, it wasn't about winning or losing; it was staying true to who we are, and just making the best of the opportunity. But then after that, we had to do what was best in terms of shut down for a while and get our stuff collectively together and be able to finish our season.
Yeah, last night too. First time being at home in 3 weeks, had a little Club Corbett feel to it a little bit. I mean, there was, we had a little fun there last night, and I think that's going to be kind of a cultural change for the Big South a little bit. Some of the teams that come in and see that atmosphere.
Yeah, it ain't nothing that we complaining about. We like that. That's our home court advantage. We love our fans. We love the students when they're at the game supporting us. And it's we take full advantage of it. I was talking to Keanu Atterton. I was watching film with her earlier today, and she was talking about how energetic she was. That's her first time experiencing that, And I told her this is what it is what it's about. And if you're doing that, like that's part of the resurgence in terms of our defensive effort. Having our fans there. Being able to build off that momentum.
No doubt, no question about it. Hopefully they show up on Saturday. Let's take a little break here in the North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball Show featuring Terrell Robinson. And when we come back, we'll kind of chronicle the season and what has happened thus far. So we'll be right back. Coach, let's talk a little bit about the season. Certainly, it was an 0-6 start. There were some tough games in there. I believe the University of North Carolina is now ranked. Of course, you had to play the number one team, the nation, within all of that. But you came out of that, and there just seemed to be an idea from you that, hey, we're seeing who can handle adversity. We're seeing who can go through the process and come out of it. So talk about those first 6 games and what it meant to your program.
Well, first, obviously I'm responsible for scheduling and I okay all those games. So I just truly believe that if I have the right group, I can coach and prepare us to win any game. And that's what I felt about our roster at the time. But I also knew that at the end of the season that we want to be playing those same people. So the preparation, whether we got the results that we wanted, we're regardless going to move us and push us through in the right direction. So it was definitely tough. The University of North Carolina, obviously they're top 25 now. I didn't think that we really got a good chance to recover from that. We were on the plane and on our way to Kansas to play in the WNIT. Where we played some really good teams. A good Kansas State team is right now, I think, is at the top of their conference as well, and they definitely got a pro on that team. The games that I thought that we could have won, I thought we could have played better against Western Kentucky. I thought we could have played better against Tennessee, UT Martin, and then Elon right up the street. I thought those were games that we should have put ourselves in a better position to win. But, these players, all they see is wins and losses. They don't see the process. When you're playing those teams, they see the margin of the error. And the thing that I was telling them is like, look, because some of the things that are hunting us even now, like you got to follow scout, you got to know our defensive principles. And mind you, we had 10 new kids. And me being, I guess, naive as a coach is that when you win, people come in, bought in, and understand it. And no, you gotta prove it to them once again that what you're talking about works, though it may sound crazy, and what you're demanding of them works. And that's been kind of our process. One of the best things that could have happened. One of the best things that could have happened is us, being able to come home and play in our gym and play in Corbett. And those 3 games that we won, and then the East Carolina game, which really gave them a boost of confidence, and then we transitioned to Cincinnati, and I was so proud of them after the Cincinnati game. I was emotional. My players and staff will let you know I'm a crier, when I'm talking to them in the locker room or when I'm trying to give them some inspiring words. But I was emotional because of the way they fought. And I told them that was missing in all the games that we had played in it. And I knew we were going to be all right moving forward, whether we won the game or not. And then obviously COVID hit, and what we dealt with Longwood, Hampton, and even, USC Upstate, we still only practiced with a couple of kids, maybe 2 days before going up there. And the performance wasn't bad. But I thought that we got out of sorts in the end, and obviously they came out with the victory. And I'm a coach about that always talks about responding. And I feel like what we did yesterday against Charleston Southern was a response, was my team saying, hey, coach, we're still locked in. We still want to get things done. We still want to put ourselves in position to be champions.
Yeah, you did an excellent job just wrapping, kind of recapping the season or whatever. And I would say,
I think about this all the time, man.
I would say that if naive coaches have as many trophies as you do in that background, I'll take me a naive coach any day. That's certainly the way I feel about it. But you talked about we got to see some of our old buddies in South Carolina State and North Carolina Central, and that brings up a point. How much are and I guess every sport is going to have to be faced with this since we are now in the Big South. But how important is it to have fellow HBCUs on your schedule just to kind of keep that tradition within what we do?
Well, for me, being from HBCU, having played in the MEAC, it means a lot. It's real personal, for me. And I think, our kids, our young people, they deserve to see that culture, that atmosphere. And that is, again, a part of the reason they made the decision. They could have gone to traditional schools, but they chose an HBCU because of the environment, because of how authentic it is. And that's what we want to provide them. So for me, it's very important. If I can help it, we'll definitely continue to compete against teams in the MEAC or SWAC. But for me, that's definitely something that's important.
Timing is almost everything. And like you said, you can't control this pandemic. I mean, the experts have kind of had some misses as well. But, 0-3 is not something that, is something that is common in this program. Fortunately, we got the win last night. But how significant, I guess, is it that kind of hit us early, and now we still have a chance to recover a little bit and climb in those standings just because now we're starting to get the McNeils back and the Scotts back, and kind of having to put our whole team together. How significant was the timing of that whole thing?
It was very significant, but like I try to tell our young women, again, we can't control what we can control, but we got to learn that we right now have to adjust. And that is like when you talk about, Channing Scott coming off the bench, like she's going to impact no matter what situation that she's in. Right now, that group that's out there is the group that I feel comfortable with in terms of responding. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a thing of are we not relying on the same people? It's going to take the same people to get it done. Sharika McNeil, she's the real deal. She showed a lot against East Carolina and obviously against Cincinnati. That was enough for me, and so on and so forth. But like I said, this has brought so many other people up to plate. Keanu Atterton, she's yet to not score double figures, this year in games. And she's also been, 1 or 2 in rebounding, and she's gotten confident in her shot. Faith Blackstone, the kid is special. As she gets more confident, she's going to be one of the better players in the Big South. I can go on and on and on. Sean Kelly Darks, Demai Tucker, we haven't seen their best basketball. Jasmine Harris, she's a force to deal with. So, as long as we continue to adjust and we understand what's at stake, and that's why I tell our young women right now, our back's against the wall. Like in a few weeks, it's going to be like an NBA schedule. We're going to play on Thursday, be off on Friday, actually not off on Friday. We're going to be preparing on Friday to play on Saturday, for these makeup games. And we can't make excuses. If we still want to reach the goals and the things that we say that we want to reach, we can't make excuses. We got to prepare the right way. We got to still go to class. We got to still take care of business. Then we got to play some basketball and get some wins.
That's the beauty of this team, though. you don't know who's gonna hit you. I mean, Demaya Tucker 8 for 8 in one game. Sharika McNeil hit a step back 3-pointer at Cincinnati. It was just unbelievable. Jasmine Harris, she can come and hit you with a double at any moment. You know what Channing Scott brings to the table most nights. Last night, you had 6 players in double figures. So that's the beauty of this team. You really don't know who's going to hit you hard from night to night.
Nah, you're absolutely right. And not to even, let's not even forget our walk-ons. They have been important. Like they showed me so much, in the Hampton game, that they can be relied on, in certain minutes. And that's what it's going to take. Like, the stretch that we're getting ready to go through is going to take everybody. Kennedy Boyd, she's getting back healthy. She comes from a championship culture. She helped us win last year. Slick was looking like Slick last night. She was smooth with that ball, getting those passes to people.
Lane.
Yeah, so we're still moving in the right direction, man. As long as there's still growth, I still believe. And I was talking to Keanu Atterton. I'm like, I want to obviously win a regular season. There's a lot of things that have been out of our control, like even starting off 0-3. Like the first 2 games, we didn't have our best players. Or our players, I won't say our best players, our players that contributed at that point of the season. So those are things out of our control. Right now, we just got to position ourselves that when it is time, when our opportunity comes to win a championship, that we're there, whether it's regular season or it's in the conference tournament. And I think we definitely have the pieces. You just named a bunch of impact people. They got to play together. We got to be 5-on-5, and I talked to them about that. It's got to be 5-on-5 when we're playing against people. It can't be 3-on-2, 3-on-5 or 2-on-5. We got to get our chemistry. We got to understand who we are, and we got to be able to rely on each other.
And just for those who are wondering, women's basketball has the greatest nicknames that I've seen in a while. But if you're wondering, Slick is Jasmine Walton, number 0. The nicknames just flow out so well. They've always had great nicknames for women's basketball.
Absolutely.
Before I let you go, what does Winthrop bring to the table? We got a good old-fashioned doubleheader like we've used to having here at North Carolina A&T. The men play at 5 o'clock against Campbell, and then the ladies get going 1 o'clock against Winthrop. What does Winthrop bring to the table on Saturday?
Well, I can tell you they're a team that like us, are hungry for a win and hungry to move up the ladder in terms of the Big South Conference. They're youthful. They have a lot of youth. A little similar in terms of their playing style as Charleston Southern. We're going to see, a lot of zone offense. Zone defense. So we're going to have to do a great job at executing. But we anticipate, that we're going to have to do the same thing. Be ourselves and apply the type of pressure and make them uncomfortable, turn them over, and play fast. But we know they probably want to, slow us down and play in a half-court setting, and that doesn't play to our advantage. So we're going to do everything we can to be us, and, we're pretty good in Corbett Sports Arena.
We certainly are. Club Corbett needs to be live on Saturday. It's a 1 o'clock start against Winthrop. We need you guys there. We need you dancing. We need you loud. Certainly, we're trying to get in the mix of this Big South Conference standings. And so we certainly don't want to drop a home game. And our fans certainly going to play a big part in that. Coach Robinson, man, I really do appreciate you joining us here on our first North Carolina A&T Women's Basketball Coaches Show. It's been a joy as always, and we wish you guys all the best on Saturday. Aggie Pride.
Aggie Pride.